Well, good morning and happy Friday, boys and girls. So today is part 3 of the C5 Corvette tips and secrets. I did my first one about, over 2 years ago. Wasn't the best. It was okay. I revisited for part 2 about a year and a half ago. That one was much better, and I highly recommend you check that one out if you haven't already. And I told myself, like, that was it. 2 parts, that's perfect. And last week I was like, all right, if I can come up with a few more things that are actually worth a damn, actually mentioning with some value, I'll try it again. So I brainstormed, I read through the manual, looked over the car, looked in forums, you name it, I got creative, and actually came up with 14 new items that I think you'll find are very fascinating. A lot of these were new to myself even. So I think you'll get some value out of this. I know I definitely would if I was new to the C5 game. So I'll go ahead and stop jibber jabbering and we'll go over to the car and start farting around. All right, these 14, I'm doing these in no particular order. We're starting with number 1 up here. Yes, my engine bay is an absolute disaster. It is on my to-do list this weekend, so don't bust my balls too bad. All right, number 1, if you have a C5 Corvette and you go over bumps or potholes or any kind of uneven surfaces in the road and you get a jarring sensation in your dash and it just feels like doo-doo, like a clunk, it doesn't feel good, there's a good chance it's simply your hood bump stops. There's 4 of these guys, they line up underneath your hood, and a lot of times what's happening is there's just enough play inside of there. When you go over a bump, the whole thing kind of rattles the hood and it can make it sound like it's coming out of your dash or underneath your dash. It can be really freaking annoying. It happened to me, and sure enough, I adjusted all 4 of mine and the problem has gone away. Very simple to do. Just a 13 millimeter right there. You loosen it, you unscrew this about a quarter turn at a time, tighten it back up until any looseness or play in the hood is gone. And like I said, there's 4 of them. 1 right there, 1 over there, and 2 up front right over there. Super simple. All right, coming to my filthy cabin. So I had no idea this little sticker was here, and I even replaced the leather wrap on it. I didn't even notice it. I'm an idiot. This has been here, I guess, since the car is brand new. Pretty much each wheel from the factory has a special little security lug, which is located in the trunk. Long story short, you take this code right there and you send it with $10 or 11 for Canadian to the address listed right there, and you will get a replacement lug lock key. So that's pretty freaking cool. Now, here's my code right there. You're welcome to steal it. My car is garaged. I have the cheap Chinese knockoffs. If you want them that bad, you're more than welcome. But yeah, pretty cool. Hopefully that might help someone out there. And I'm curious if anyone uses this, if it still works. All right, number 3, coming back up here to the engine bay. For whatever reason, if you're doing maintenance on your engine and you need to know the firing order, you don't want to Google it. If you look right on top of your intake manifold, it is right there. And I noticed this recently doing some header work. Thought that was pretty cool. I'm sure someone out there will find value in that. I don't know if every motor has that. I have no idea, but I thought that was kind of neat, and I thought you guys would appreciate that. All right, number 4. This is for you target top guys. This is a fixed roof coupe. But if you want to eliminate squeaks and rattles, yes, you can apply grease, but there is another way to do it as well. I'm going to use my C8 just to show you exactly what I mean. It uses almost the identical type of target top, so let me open it up real quick. All right, out here at the C8, this is very, very similar to the C5. So you got your little latch right here, your 2 up here. Most people will tell you what you got to do to stop any squeaking or rattling is simply put some dielectric type grease around all the weather stripping, which that does help. But you also want to adjust the jam nut right there, make it a little tighter. Now the C8's a little different to adjust, but if I'm not mistaken, the C5 simply has a little jam nut on the back side. You adjust that, and you don't want to do it too much, just a little bit at a time, make it a little more snug, and that should help you with your squeaks and rattles. All right, number 5 isn't so much a tip or secret, but this is something I just learned, and I'm shocked I just learned this. There are 3 different types of C5 Corvettes. You got your FRC right here. You have the coupe variant and the convertible. Each one has a different antenna option. So the C5Z has a static antenna. This one's obviously aftermarket, but in the regular OE form, it's about 1.5 feet tall. It just sits there, doesn't do anything. If you have a convertible, your antenna is also right here, but it's telescoping with a motor. And I just learned that the coupes don't even have an antenna back here. The antenna is located on the top of the rear glass and the front windshield. That blew me away. I thought I knew everything there was to know about a C5 Corvette, and that simple little piece of trivia just blew my mind. And I thought I would include it here in case no one else. And if you knew that, you're probably like, wow, this guy's an idiot. But I thought it was kind of cool. Number 6, if you bought your C5 Corvette brand new, you obviously got 2 sets of keys. Now on these keys was a barcode. Mine is long gone. With that barcode, you could have went to any third-party locksmith to get a brand new key made. And of course, you'd have to set it up with a DIC to get it work with your car. But yeah, any locksmith can make you a brand new key if you had that barcode. If you lose it, you got to go back to the dealership and pay 6-7 times as much. So I'm not sure if they still do that. I know my C8 does not have that option. But yeah, C5 Corvette, bought brand new. You got a special little code with your key. Take it any third-party locksmith and they would do it for hella cheap. Number 7. So obviously on your C5 Corvette, you got 2 keys, and you can set both keys to each memory for that key. If you had the memory seats or telescoping wheel, etc., or even the mirror, you set it to what key you want, 1 or 2. That's how you program it. Looking through the owner's manual, you could get a 3rd key and program a 3rd setting by holding down 1 and 2 at the same time. You could program for a 3rd person or 3rd key. Why? I have no idea, but the option is there if you ever wanted to do it. I don't know why you'd have 3 different people driving your Corvette, but I guess GM was like, just in case. Thought that was kind of useless, but actually kind of fascinating. Number 8, a very unique option that was not available in the US, only in Canada sold Corvettes, was a actual OE block heater for the C5 Corvette. It would plug in down there where your temperature sensor is. The pictures I saw of it, the coil just kind of wrapped up right here. You would simply undo it, you would feed it down through there, and you'd plug it in. You got to let it sit for about 4 hours. This is recommended in temperatures under 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, under 0 degrees Fahrenheit. You had to plug in your block heater for about 4 hours before you start the car. So kind of interesting. Again, that was only a Canadian option. Now I have the FRC, so this next thing does not really apply to me, but if you have the coupe or convertible, you can actually flash your headlights during the day. Now, obviously these are pop-up headlights, so pulling back on your stock to flash your high beams doesn't work. But if you have the coupe or convertible with the optional fog lights, which would be right there, pulling back on your high beams would actually flash your fog lights, so you can get someone's attention during the day without using your pop-up deals. Now, when the headlights are up, those would flash your high beams, but when they were down, it would simply flash your fog lights. All right, so reading the manual, I found some conflicting information, and this is more interesting or fascinating more than it is a secret. Any forum I've read, any literature I've ever read on LS6, the GM factory red line is 6,600 RPM. Great. But in the LS1, fuel is cut to the engine at 6,200 RPM. Okay, great, that's the LS1. But the LS6, per the manual, fuel is cut to the motor at 6,500 RPM. So something's wrong there. Check forums, check every piece of literature you can on the LS6. Any GM type data sheet to come out will tell you 6,600 is the safe red line for the LS6. But it's conflicting because in the manual, it states that the engine will starve itself of fuel at 6,500 RPM. So I'm not sure what is correct. And a simple tune could bypass that, but I just thought it was very fascinating that there's no real answer to that. It's conflicting. All right, this next one's kind of weird, but it's something that's always kind of puzzled me, and I thought I never understood how it worked, and that was how often the exterior temperature would reset or update. It's not right away. I'll leave my garage, and sometimes it updates in what feels like 5 minutes, sometimes it's like 30 minutes, and it would drive me insane, but I finally have the answer, and it's very, very arbitrary. This will not update the outside temperature until the vehicle speed is above 16 miles an hour for 1.5 minutes, or the vehicle is cruising above 45 miles per hour for exactly 1 minute. Then it will update, but not before that. So if you're leaving your neighborhood, you're cruising around, a lot of stops, it will not update. It's very weird. I don't know why, but that's the way that GM programmed it. And that is the exact reason I got out of the owner's manual. There you go. If you ever wondered how this thing updated, that's how you do it. All right, number 12. This next one's kind of an urban legend. I've heard stories about it on forums, etc., and workers from the plant, but there's a good chance when your car was built, a factory worker would sign one of the body panels on the inside. And sure enough, doing exhaust work a little bit ago, someone at some point did sign the inside of my Z06. Right there. Looks like Pam. So Pam, if you worked at the factory in 2001, reach out to me. That's pretty freaking cool. And obviously, if you're owner of a C5, check your inside panels. They could be signed. Pretty neat. All right, number 13 is an awesome preventative maintenance type deal. Luckily, before I bought this car, someone at some point, probably in the last 8 years, replaced all the weather stripping. I see a lot, people always trying to replace it. It's always cracking. But if you look in the owner's manual at 6-60, that's the page number, it recommends just using some silicone grease, especially if the car sits outside in the sun, at least twice a year. Just take a little bit of this guy, it's clear, and just run it across your weather stripping. It will prolong the life of your weather stripping by quite a bit. So this little $2 thing of grease could definitely save your ass in the long run with getting new weather stripping. So I highly recommend doing this, especially if your car is parked outside. All right, number 14. Now we all know that the C5 Corvette gas gauge is already really wonky. It's very emotional. It's a very emotional gauge. If it's having a bad day, it's gonna dump on you. Meaning it's gonna go to E. Very frustrating. But there's fixes with that with tech running. But that's a different video I have in my library somewhere else. Okay. This one's more of a strange anomaly I would see on occasion, and I finally figured out why it was doing it. A lot of times I'll stop the car, I'll turn it off with about a quarter tank of gas. The next morning I'd start the car and the reserve fuel light would come on, but I know I have plenty of fuel. That's simply because this car has a left tank bias. It always wants to have all the fuel there's two banks. There's the left and right bank. I should have said that. There's two fuel tanks in the car. One behind your butt here and one behind your passenger's butt. It always tries to keep the left tank full by siphoning fuel from the right side tank. So when you stop the car, most of the fuel is going to be in your left bank. When you turn the car off, let it sit for a while, some of that will flow back into the right bank. So when you start the car again, it assumes that all of the gas is in your left bank, your left tank. It uses that float, and you've lost a lot of the fuel to the right bank. So for about 10 minutes, it will read a little lower than it actually is. So if you've ever noticed that you started your car, the reserve fuel light comes on, by the time you get to the gas station or you go a few miles down the road, it's actually climbed quite a bit and you don't need gas anymore. That's simply because the two tank system, it's got a left tank bias, and when you turn the car off, some of that residual fuel will flow back into the right tank. So it's such a unique fuel system. It's not bad, it's just wonky, and it is what it is. Kind of weird. All right, guys, that concludes my part 3 of C5 tips and secrets. Hopefully you found something of value in this. Like I said, these were kind of neat. I thought that they were pretty cool. Any questions about any of this, let me know. I have so many questions I got to answer. The more videos I do, I keep getting just backed up with questions. I got something like 300 videos in my catalog now, which is great. But if I get one question a day in each video, that's 300 questions I got to go through, and it keeps adding. So I'm trying. If you got a question, I'll get to it as fast as I can. I promise, okay? I work and have a family and stuff, but I try my best to answer you guys when I can. So, all right, guys, go enjoy your weekend. It's going to be gorgeous here on the East Coast, so I'm looking forward to it. And I'll catch you guys next week. So until then, mark out.